More now on the why behind the stock shock with Andrea Heng in Singapore and also Konrad Busen in Frankfurt. Andrea, starting with you, why does China keep guiding the yuan lower?
Well, they are trying to stabilize the yuan for multiple reasons, one of which is trying to make the yuan, attractive for the IMF. Finding that middle ground, however, is going to take some configuration or calibration, but perhaps it is taking too long or involving way too much risk.
But that isn't the only trigger, is it? Was I right in quoting Osborne, a dangerous cocktail of threats?
Well, that's putting it mildly, perhaps, in his words, but there are a few things to think about here. Most of it is credited to the worry by investors about how the government is trying to fix the problem. Now, it's been reported that the central bank has been still selling dollars to prop up the yuan. So, and a weak demand from the commodity sector is certainly not helping the situation.
Konrad, over to you. What do Frankfurt traders think? Is China fixing problems here or creating problems?
The concerns are very big here, and not only about the large slump in China and on the world's markets. As Andrea put out, the way that the government and the authorities in Beijing are handling the problem is being criticized, quite obviously, despite the fact that the Chinese authorities have heavily intervened in the markets with this new circuit breaker rule, also now with a restriction on large share sales. Investors are using every opportunity to sell, and that sheds a very negative light on the Chinese stock market and on the financial system as a whole.
But Andrea, what's China actually getting out of this? Because investors are suffering big time, Chinese investors included.
Well, over here, we're really not quite certain. Even regular market watchers are saying that, the authorities may not even know what they're doing anymore. There are two ways to look at it. It could be a sign that this unsteady recovery that economists were previously talking about, or it could really be that dreaded downward spiral that everyone's fearing. Investors are really frightened right now. The fear is spreading beyond local investors. Even foreign companies who are exposed to the Chinese market are finally feeling the pinch. So the waves might still and continue to be rocky at this point.
Okay, well, it certainly sounds like the start of a dangerous spiral. Chinese equities and oil are down almost 12% in just the first 4 trading days of the year. Konrad, could this start hitting sentiment because things were just rosy a week ago?
Yes, absolutely. This hits sentiment already quite negatively. A forecast that the World Bank only gave out yesterday seems to become reality only the day after. The World Bank lowered its growth forecast for the global economy, and it also said, and I quote this, a synchronized slowdown in the biggest emerging markets could be intensified by a fresh bout of financial turmoil. I think that we are seeing this financial turmoil right now.
Okay, synchronize your watches, kids. Is this, though, just going to be a hiccup? Are they going to be proven wrong, or are we on the cusp of what could be an extended global downswing, Konrad?
The risk is definitely there. People on the markets are seeing this risk. A lot will depend on the United States economy and on the economy here in Europe. The discussion, one major discussion, will be during the next few weeks whether or not the demand here and in the US will be strong enough to make up for any weakness in China and in emerging economies.